Welcome to Understanding Agile Project Management. In a previous video, we looked at Agile software development, where we compared the differences between waterfall and Agile software development, and how the waterfall approach uses a sequential, predictive approach, whereas Agile software development is a collection of Agile values, principles, practices, and frameworks that enable programs to rapidly respond to change. In this video, we will describe some key differences between managing a project using the waterfall development method and being a project coach when a project is using an agile development approach. To highlight some key differences, we're going to use a sports analogy. You can use almost any team-based sport, such as volleyball, football, or soccer. However, here we're going to use basketball. With any sport, you have some type of playing field. In this case, a basketball court, where two teams of 5 players oppose each other. The objective is to score more points than your opponent within a fixed time while following the official rules of the game. These official rules only provide the basic structure of the game, such as the dimensions of the court, number of players that can be on the court at one time, and the length of the game. However, how the game is played varies greatly from team to team because each team has their own strengths and weaknesses. We want to maximize our team's strengths and minimize their weaknesses. What works for one team may not work for another. We are going to refer to how a team plays the game as the team's playbook. How might a traditional project manager create a team's playbook? Prior to the game starting, a project manager would attempt to predict all the possible actions each individual team member is required to make against their adversary at each phase of the game for the game to be a success. For example, they may determine the team needs exactly 64 points in the game, and to achieve this, we need to further define the requirements for each position by quarter. Maybe the center needs to have the ball for 2 minutes and score 5 points, and the power forward needs to have the ball for 1 minute and score 3 points. And then we would continue to define the requirements for all the team members for each quarter. However, we know that even if we meet or exceed all our predictions, we may still ultimately lose the game. Meeting these detailed objectives has little to do with the overall success of the game. In fact, specifying these detailed requirements may actually hinder a team's performance. In this instance, individual players may be more concerned with how many minutes they had the ball or exactly how many points they achieved, when the only thing that truly matters are the total points the team achieves. Now, let's look at a different approach to creating a playbook. A coach knows there is no way to predict every possible move in each game, and achieving a specific number of points per game may ultimately lead to a team losing the game. Knowing this, the objective of the coach is to ensure the team scores the maximum points possible in each game, and not a predetermined number of points. A coach's job is to assemble a team that works together and is resilient against the opponent with little or no intervention from the coach once the game begins. Prior to the game starting, a coach ensures they have assembled the right team, and they have the skills and resources required to face their opponent, and then allows them the freedom to autonomously respond to the opponent throughout the game. A coach's playbook includes high-level strategies that can be modified by the team throughout the game. Once the game starts, the team works together to score the maximum number of points possible using the playbook as a guide. This is exactly how agile development teams function, except instead of adapting to an opposing team, they adapt to changes in architecture, culture, policy, technology, and requirements. An agile team's goal is to deliver the maximum amount of value in a given period of time or iteration, and not a predetermined amount of value. We can consider the rulebook as the laws with which we must adhere throughout development. Once we have identified the items in the rulebook, it's our job to create the team's playbook. Every play in our playbook can either help or hurt the team from achieving the maximum value they can deliver. We need to consider the impact of each play and the effect it will have on the team and its goals. If a play negatively impacts a team with no project benefits, the play needs to be modified or completely removed. Let's look at some of the plays we may have in an Agile IT project playbook by comparing some of the plays we have in a traditional IT project playbook. Both traditional and Agile playbooks include items like cost, requirements, and schedule. However, there are major differences in how the plays are specified in the playbook. In a traditional playbook, we specify a fixed number of requirements that needs to be completed by the end of the project, and if they are not, we add funding and/or increase the schedule until all of the requirements are complete. In an Agile playbook, we don't know exactly how many requirements we can deliver, but we want to maximize the number of requirements we can deliver in a fixed time at a fixed cost. Let's see how these different playbooks require different development approaches. Using a waterfall development approach, we take all of the requirements and develop detailed specifications, with each specification having an associated cost and schedule. With this method, we progress towards our target in a series of sequential steps. These steps are traditionally requirements, design, development, testing, and then one large release. At each step, we complete all of the work based on the information received from the previous step, with little or no user feedback. Due to the lack of transparency and feedback in the waterfall development process, a traditional project manager must track the project's progress against the initial plan to monitor project success. However, similar to our basketball analogy, even if we meet all of our initial estimates, it may not indicate the overall success of the project. Some assumptions we know we must accept when using a traditional development approach. First, we can gather all of our requirements up front. Second, the requirements we do gather won't change. Third, we know exactly how long it will take and the cost to complete each requirement. And fourth, we can predict the impact of all possible changes we will encounter throughout development. Fundamentally, we know these assumptions are false. However, the rigid waterfall development approach does not allow us to easily make changes or provide a means to effectively measure progress throughout development. Now, let's look at how we might develop software using the Agile playbook. First, we establish a project vision to guide us through the development process. Next, we identify and prioritize our high-level requirements, where the highest priority requirements are then broken down into workable pieces. Then, we start by developing only the high-priority requirements the team believes they can accomplish in a fixed period of time. Notice, we have all the same activities we did while using the waterfall approach, but instead of each of the project members working in isolation, they work as one team to complete the initial set of requirements. At the end of each iteration, the team produces a potentially shippable product. At this point, the team can both ensure the product meets the customer's expectations and identify any improvements to the process to make it more effective and efficient during the next iteration. Next, we revisit our prioritized requirements, which can be changed after each iteration. At this point, the team determines the next set of requirements to complete during the next iteration. We continue using the same process, completing our requirements one piece at a time, while continuing to improve the product and the process after each increment, consistently providing a potentially shippable or improved product to the user. Using an Agile development approach allows us to easily fix our cost and schedule. For example, let's say each iteration is time-boxed to 2 weeks, and the cost for your development teams are $200,000 for each iteration. In this example, we have fixed the schedule to 8 weeks at a cost of $800,000. However, as we identified up front, we are unsure how many of the requirements will be delivered in this time period. Since the number of requirements we will deliver in this time frame is unknown, as a project coach, we want to maximize the value or requirements the team delivers. We do this by assembling the right teams with all of the required skills. As a project coach, if we have assembled the right team, they will make the best decisions throughout the development process. Make team member substitutions. We are not looking for individual contributions, but team contributions. We want to find the optimal team to maximize the value delivered. Ensure the team has all the required resources, such as technology. Revisit the playbook to ensure it enables the teams to deliver the maximum amount of value per iteration. Let's step back and look at the two project management approaches and development methodologies. The development approach used, Agile or Waterfall, has a large impact on the project management approach used. For example, you can't use an Agile playbook to manage a Waterfall development project, and conversely, you can't use a traditional playbook to coach an Agile project. The development approach also impacts how we manage project risks. Using an Agile methodology, we are continually delivering value throughout development, where we can adapt and improve at each increment. This affords us multiple advantages. First, the increments are short, allowing for reevaluation and reprioritization of requirements. Second, because we have end-user participation, We learn early on in development if we are delivering the right product and have the option to pivot or even terminate the project early when few funds have been expended. With the waterfall approach, we are not certain we are delivering the right product until the end of the development cycle, when most or all of the investment has been expended. There is a drastic shift in how we manage a traditional IT project using the waterfall development approach and how we coach teams using an agile development approach. One mistake a project manager can make is managing a waterfall development effort using an agile playbook or using a traditional playbook to coach an agile development project. Your project management approach needs to match your development approach, or your project may be doomed from day one. When coaching an agile project, focus on assembling the right team, removing obstacles, and finding ways to help them maximize the value they can deliver.